So Kingdom Hearts 2.8 has been released for a little over a month now, and that means everyone should have finally had the chance to play or see Kingdom Hearts 0.2 and Kingdom Hearts X back cover. So did we get an answer to whether or not Luxu is the master of Eraqus and Xehanort? Some people believe we have, and he's not the master. Well, let's take a look.
You need to pass down that Keyblade to your apprentice and then him to his, so that my eye can see the future.
So the master tells Luxu he's to take the Keyblade with his eye embedded into it, no name, into the future. This will allow him to see the events that transpires. Then he must pass the Keyblade to his apprentice, then his apprentice to their own. So what does this say about Luxu's potential as Xehanort's master? Well, we know the master doesn't necessarily mean there's three people. He's talking about starting a tradition to where in which kind of like, okay, Luxu becomes the master of two apprentices, right? We know the Land of Departure will always have two apprentices. This is why we saw Terra and Aqua, two apprentices. So what happens here is that what's starting to occur, or what he starts with Luxu, is the idea of this Keyblade being passed down to an apprentice, and that apprentice will pass down the Keyblade to their apprentice, and so on and so forth. So what he's saying here isn't necessarily there should be two people that has their hands on this Keyblade after Luxu. What he's saying is, of course, this is going to become a tradition. He wants this Keyblade to see the future endlessly, meaning that, of course, if the Keyblade wielder, such as Luxu, at the time dies, they should have an apprentice so that way they can take up that Keyblade. So pretty much, we're going to talk about this more in depth in the next section. So Xehanort is a student of a master who made his base of operations the Land of Departure. Well, besides the fact that Land of Departure holds a huge place in, of course, keeping the balance of the universe, who else would choose such a place but Luxu? I mean, that's a real genuine question. Besides anyone else we know right now, who else would choose such a place like the Land of Departure? We know the Master of Masters plan in X back cover was heavily dependent on the balance of the universe, and maybe Luxu chose this place for a deeper reason than what you may think right now. See, in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, there's a report that states that traditionally there should be two apprentices at the Land of Departure. Now get this, while one is permitted to leave the Land of Departure, the other is to go off with no name. Remember young Xehanort said each Keyblade wielder is bequeathed a key of their very own. Maybe he didn't mean it as simply as any key, but rather Master Defender or no name. He also explains more keys were forged to be handed down. Maybe these are the keys given to apprentices till they become masters. Terra and Aqua, who had their own individual Keyblades. So what we've learned from this development is why no name is placed in that dock in the Kingdom Hearts 3 E3 2015 trailer. Maybe Luxu settled down here at, of course, the Land of Departure and became the original master of the Land of Departure, becoming the wielder of the Master Defender. So we can even use the irony of Terra being possessed by Xehanort, or Terranort wielding no name, and Aqua wielding the Master Defender. Again, two masters from the Land of Departure wielding the two Keyblades meant to be bequeathed to two apprentices at the Land of Departure. So seeing as Aqua carries the Defender through 0.2, and we saw Luxu with no name in 0.2 as well, I think it's safe to assume Xehanort was the first apprentice, meaning the key only came full circle with its original wielder after BBS. Again, this is why Ansem nor Xemnas wields the damn thing. But then, who's the next apprentice of the key? So even if you wanted to follow exactly what the Master of Masters said and believe there's someone before Xehanort that is the second apprentice and is the Master of Xehanort and Eraqus, and Xehanort is the third apprentice, then let me ask you something very important. Did you know Xehanort actually has a certain type of apprentice? He's had an apprentice for the past 11 years?
Man, does that Xehanort scare me like nobody's business.
That's right. All these years, Reg and Xehanort has had a deal for Brig to help Xehanort pursue his ambitions and retrieve the X-Blade, and he will be given the power of the Keyblade. And once he has his hands on the X-Blade, what will he have? What use will he have for No Name anymore? Brig is destined to be the wielder after the Xehanort saga, guys. And with what we know from Brig, his own plans already are starting to flourish, and of course are starting to come out before even the events of Dream Drop Distance. What are these plans? And if the key to return hearts really is used to put in, of course, all 13 pieces of Xehanort back into himself or connect his heart again, when all the threads of Xehanort are scrubbed from relevance at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, and we go forward, Brig may be the beginning of the next arc. Maybe he'll be the secondary villain similar to Xemnas and Ansem to Xehanort. So essentially, it'll probably be himself, Luxu, and then the Master of Masters as the final villain after, of course, the Xehanort saga. But of course, this even goes even deeper if you really think about it. Brig, all those years ago, like around the time when he fought Terra, the initial fight with Terra, of course, when he lost his eye, Brig had struck up a deal with Xehanort to get the power of the Keyblade. Now, saying get the power of the Keyblade doesn't mean he'll necessarily get his hands on No Name, but when you think about it, I don't think Xehanort would do a Keyblade ceremony on Brig. I think he would actually give him the actual Keyblade. Like I said, we know about these plans that are starting to come to fruition and stuff before even the events of Dream Drop Distance. And what are these plans? I believe these plans are something similar to Luxu's situation. Of course, we know that Luxu explained to Eraqus and Xehanort about the Keyblade War if he is in fact their master, because I could still potentially be wrong, although I'm almost 90% sure I'm right. The master, of course, he may have explained his actual role to them, and his actual role to be given the Keyblade and pass it down and stuff like that may be something that Xehanort knows. And if he knows this, he may have a fail-safe plan with Brig, in which Brig is to survive beyond the Keyblade War, because interestingly enough, there's more than 13 Seekers in the Keyblade Graveyard in the update right before the Kingdom Hearts Chi browser game finale. I believe there's like 14 or 16. So of course, there you go, there's extra numbers of 13 Seekers of Darkness. And why does Xehanort, who literally needs 13 Seekers, have more than 13 Seekers? You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing for the Guardians as well, but of course Donald and Goofy being in there, and then of course we may have some returns like Ephemera and Scold. So it's kind of understandable for their situation. We know about those characters, but who are these new Seekers of Darkness? Who are they? And of course, for him to have extra numbers of Seekers, that means either the people that we saw in Dream Drop Distance isn't necessarily the Seekers of Darkness, and of course Brig may be excluded from that, meaning that of course he could be a fail-safe plan for Xehanort. And what I mean by that is he's to take the little piece of Xehanort's heart that he has and pretty much take it into the future, essentially, kind of like what Luxu does with No Name itself. And if Xehanort is struck down and Brig is the last piece of Xehanort's heart, No Name will literally become, or it will move on in succession to Brig, because he's the only person who will have such a connection to Xehanort the way he does. And even when you hear young Xehanort, or when we saw young Xehanort mention the fact that Master Xehanort's Keyblade is the most ancient, we saw Brig's expression literally get more serious than we ever have before. So I'm pretty sure that the plans for No Name that Xehanort has after he gets his hands on the X-Blade is literally to give that Keyblade, or No Name, to Brig. So let me know what you guys think about this, man. Do you think that, of course, I'm right, or do you think that I'm wrong? Because definitely, Brig being Xehanort's apprentice this whole time, kind of, I mean, they only struck up a deal, but even still, there's still kind of apprenticeship, because you still have to know how to wield a freaking Keyblade. Brig uses, I keep on wanting to say Exit bar, but that's why I keep on stuttering, but Brig literally uses dual weapons. So definitely, I could see the possibility that, of course, maybe all of this time, or even now, seeing as the real Xehanort has returned, maybe he's training Brig right now for the key, or to wield the Keyblade. Maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe that's what Brig's own plans are, to learn how to wield the Keyblade. But let me know what you guys think, man. This has been your boy Amaziah. Don't forget to do a little A-Class gaming, and everything you do, don't forget to keep it A-Class. Keep it right here for more Kingdom Hearts content, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. the heck out.